have to inspire people and build beautiful products so that people want to put it into their life every single day.
For Supergoop sunscreen founder Holly Thagard, one phone call launched her brand to new heights.
I left her a voicemail that I was coming to San Francisco and I was ready to sit down and talk. She didn't call me back, but I flew out there with no meetings on the calendar. I was completely broke. And the first night I got there, my phone lit up. It said Sephora.
The meeting was a success, and in 2011, Supergoop was on Sephora's shelves all across the country. Max Tuckman, founder and CEO of the video chat software Caribou, has a similar story of powering through adversity.
Less than 2% of women, less than 2% of Latinas, and less than 2% of companies based in Miami get VC funding. So I was like, I'm going to make this work.
With $700 in her bank account, Max pitched her big idea in dozens of competitions and secured over $100,000 in prize money to launch Caribou.
Tell me about Caribou. Explain it to someone who hasn't heard about it yet.
Regular video calls are just not engaging. The child gets very unfocused and bored and leaves. And so what Caribou does is it combines that video call with an in-app library.
What's next for Caribou?
I always say global domination is next.
And I'm so excited to be joining you for this fantastic summit. Thank you, Contessa, on entrepreneurship and small business. And what you just saw was a look at my series on today called She Made It, where I sit down with female founders. You see two of them right here who have built companies from the ground up. I'm excited to be reunited with the two women you just saw on the spot, Holly and Max. Good morning, you two.
Good morning, Jill.
So we loved your story so much. We wanted to bring it back because I think a lot of people are watching in this, really the theme, opportunity amidst uncertainty. So Holly, I'll start with you. You started Supergoop, which we've all been using. We all know what it is. It's on every shelf. You were a school teacher at the time, and you were broke. So tell us how you used opportunity in that among uncertainty.
Sure, and thank you so much for having me today, Jill. I'm excited to be back and visiting with you. You know, opportunity, gosh, in my journey over my career, over the time building this brand, opportunity, I feel strongly comes from the uncertainty because it forced me to think differently and make different decisions. A good example of that is when I launched in Sephora, gosh, over 12 years ago, and I was offered a big fancy end cap for the 12 weeks of summer and had to politely decline and ask for a much smaller space and a much, but with the guaranteed distribution for 12 months because I've always had the early vision to change the way the world thinks about sunscreen.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting how you start with something and then have to pivot and make it work. And a lot of entrepreneurs are going through that. Max, you were told no as well at the beginning. No chance, you were actually told, of VC funding. So tell us how you went from no chance to where you are now.
Yeah, I think my career choices have kind of seemed a little bit crazy, but really prepared me for a lot of rejection and a lot of people doubting me. It gave me the ability, I think, to see things others couldn't. And so I saw that there was a real need for something like Caribou to exist, right? That you know, video calls were really boring for kids, and that we were in a world where a technology solution could be built that could make things better.
And I know you have 3 tips, like hard tips, which I love, starting with be comfortable by being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think you know, you won't survive building your own startup if you are not okay being uncomfortable every day and literally like building from scratch and you know, making it up as you go. But the other thing you need to be really comfortable with is making mistakes. That's completely natural and expected. Just don't make the same one twice. And to get through a recession, cash is queen. So aim for profitability. It's honestly the best leverage. And as Beyonce says, the best revenge is your paper.
Mm-hmm. I love that, making mistakes, because we're all human and have to accept both mistakes that we make and that other people make. And you made no mistake with those fabulous earrings. But I'm going to move to Holly to give your go-to tips, because I know you have some as well. And I think that it's really important to focus on, giving ourselves a little grace when you're going through this process.
Sure, Jill. I mean, I think it may sound cliche, but I think passion is so important. I think you have, as an entrepreneur, and I often tell other brand founders, you have to be so passionate about your idea that you literally can't sleep at night. And then I would also add to that, it's very important early on to establish a very laser-focused mission. For Supergoop, that is about changing the way the world thinks about sunscreen. And so therefore, on the journey, every decision you make, every single decision can ladder up to that mission.
It's so funny you said that about sleeping, because the other night my fiance, I'm in a new startup now, which I'll soon announce, and in the middle of the night he said, "You yelled out the marketing firm you're interviewing's name." And he said, "Did you know you did that?" I said, "No." So you literally have to be dreaming and sleeping about it. That's like the barometer for something working.
Absolutely.
Max, I know you have some tangible resources for name recognition, and I know a lot of people watching like those just like hard, here's what you do. So what are your tips on that?
Yeah, when we first got started, we didn't have a lot of money for a great PR firm, and I didn't have a lot of journalist contacts, but there's this really great resource called Help a Reporter Out. I think it goes by Heyro, and it's fabulous. Reporters pretty much put what stories they're working on and ask you to pitch them. So we ended up in Forbes, I think 3 years in a row, and we got a bunch of other opportunities like the Today Show, where we were able to, we actually got, because we were on your She Made It segment, ended up raising $1 million from Leah Sullivan, the founder of TaskRabbit. So you never know the power of PR, and it's pretty cheap and easy to do.
I love that update. That was so great. I heard that happened. So I'm grateful that we gave you that platform, but it's the product that really counts. I just want to leave everyone with a line from each of you for people out there who are kind of stuck and wanting to start a business that they just have no idea where to start. Holly, I'll start with you.
Sure. I think it's so important to really, product innovation, it cannot be underestimated. If something's been done already, why bother, is what I always say. And so really creating and bringing into the world game-changing product that delivers solutions for the consumer, not so much thinking always about your brand or your product, but what problem does it solve for the consumer? And I think that if you can tap in always to your values, be authentic, be real, it's so important to tap into your values. With such a changing consumer landscape, that's what's going to keep your brand relevant, and that's what's going to keep your brand loved.
Know what you know and know what you don't know is just as important. Max, what do you want to leave everyone with?
Just for any women, people of color, anyone who has been underestimated, I think it's so scary to jump in and do something like a startup. But my advice is jump in chancletas first. Just go do it. If you have an idea that you're obsessed with, a problem you really want to solve, you have a solution, you owe the world to go and build that.